In a previous video, I tested the Insta360 Magnetic Backpack Holster with my X5. While it's mainly designed to let you quickly stash your camera while you're on the move, I found it also works surprisingly well as a POV mount when the camera is holstered. And since then, I've been using it a lot, not just with the X5, but also with my DJI Osmo 360. But recently, I came across a popular YouTube video where the creator had their Insta360 mounted on a Peak Design capture clip. And that got me thinking, I already have one of those from back in my Peak Design phase. So I dug it out and decided to see which setup really works better for POV shooting with a 360 camera. That's exactly what I'm testing in this video, the Peak Design capture clip versus the Insta360 Backpack Holster. I'll be comparing them head to head with both the Insta360 X5 and DJI Osmo 360, looking at things like usability, framing, build quality, comfort, and flexibility. And just a quick note, while I'm using the Peak Design capture clip, my findings should apply to similar backpack clips from the likes of PGYTech, Falcam, and Ulanzi. Let's start with ease of use. Both systems work by clipping onto one of your backpack straps to serve as the mounting point for your camera. On my North Face Recon, which has fairly thick straps, I had to push pretty hard to get the Insta360 Magnetic Holster clipped on. By comparison, the Peak Design capture clip was a little easier to secure, so it's the better option for those with even thicker straps. Once mounted, the big usability difference is how your camera attaches. The Insta360 holster gives you a small magnetic connector that goes between your camera and selfie stick. With that in place, the stick will click into place on the holster, and to take it out, you just twist the grip and it releases instantly. The capture clip, on the other hand, uses a base plate that screws into the bottom of your camera. That plate slides into the clip until it locks with a click, and you release it by pressing the quick release button and sliding it out. So in both cases, mounting and detaching the camera is a quick and smooth process. But detaching from the holster is slightly quicker thanks to the twist to release mechanism. Another advantage of the holster, when you take the camera out, it's already on the selfie stick, ready for handheld shooting. With the capture clip, you're just left holding the camera on a base plate, not ideal if you want to quickly switch to stick mounted filming, which is usually the preferred way to film with 360 cameras. Now, since the Peak Design plate is Arca Swiss compatible, you could potentially rig up a more complex solution, but the Insta360 holster offers the cleanest solution. Now let's compare some actual POV footage. Even though both mounts attach to your backpack strap, the height and orientation of the camera end up a little different, which affects your framing. And the most noticeable difference is how much of your head creeps into the shot. With the Insta360 X5, the capture clip pushes the camera slightly further out, which meant less of my head showed up at wider angles. The holster, by comparison, keeps the camera closer to the body, so a bit more of my head ended up in the frame. With the Osmo 360, it's almost the opposite. Because the camera is shorter, the holster positions the lens lower, which meant less of my head was visible at wider angles. On the other hand, the capture clip showed more of my head, but gave me a clearer over-the-shoulder shot. That said, take these findings with a grain of salt, because with the capture clip especially, placement makes a big difference. What I just showed you was with the clip mounted high on the strap. Later, when I tried moving it lower for my Osmo 360, I got less head in the frame, at the cost of some rear visibility. So your exact results will depend on where you mount it, and even your own body shape. One final difference with regard to framing is how the mounts themselves show up in the frame. With the holster, the mount becomes pretty noticeable if you pan down. This is barely an issue with the backpack clip, where you really have to go out of your way in order to be able to see the backpack clip itself. When it comes to build quality and reliability, the Peak Design capture clip feels like the more robust option. It's a well-established accessory with years of proven use, and it's even rated to handle over 200 pounds or 90 kilograms. That gives you a lot of confidence if you're planning to use it in rougher conditions. The Insta360 Magnetic Holster, on the other hand, is newer. While it works fine for now, the magnetic connection could potentially be more vulnerable to wear or malfunction over time compared to the simple slot-in design of the capture clip. I also noticed the holster holds the camera and stick a little more loosely, so there's a bit of give if you bump it around. So for more demanding activities, I trust the capture clip slightly more. But for day-to-day filming or lighter use, the magnetic holster holds up just fine. In terms of comfort, the capture clip has the edge. With the magnetic holster, you're not just carrying the camera, you're also carrying the entire selfie stick on your strap. That means a fairly long grip is always hanging off your shoulder. It's not a huge deal, but if you want the least obstruction to your upper body movement, the capture clip definitely feels less intrusive. As for looks, I don't think there's a huge difference. With the holster, it's obvious you've just got a camera mounted on your backpack. With the capture clip, it's less clear exactly what's sticking out from your shoulder, which may naturally draw more attention. Where the capture clip really pulls ahead though is the part that stays on your strap. Its slim, low profile design means you can leave it on your backpack permanently and basically forget it's there. The holster by contrast has a much bulkier footprint, something I'm more tempted to remove if I'm not actively using it. Finally, let's talk about flexibility. Neither of these backpack mounts were specifically designed for POV filming with a 360 camera, so their functionality extends beyond that. The Insta360 holster is definitely more specialized. It's really meant for action cameras or 360 cameras mounted on selfie sticks, and that's about it. If that's what you need, it does the job very well, but I can't think of many use cases outside of that. The capture clip by contrast is more general purpose. It's commonly used by photographers who want to quickly stash a larger camera on their backpack while walking, and its Arca-Swiss compatibility opens the door to more varied setups beyond just POV shooting. So if you want to mount that doubles as part of a bigger photography or videography kit, the capture clip is likely more flexible. Overall, both of these mounts are solid choices for over-the-shoulder POV footage. The final results look very similar, with fairly minor differences in things like how much of your head sneaks into the frame when you zoom out or pan around. The magnetic holster shines if you want to go with a hybrid style of shooting, switching seamlessly between backpack POV and handheld shots on a selfie stick. It's the more convenient option if you're constantly moving between these two shooting styles. The capture clip, on the other hand, makes more sense if you want a dedicated shoulder-mounted POV camera that just stays in place, or if you're already using another camera as your main shooter and your 360 camera is more like a secondary camera. It's lighter, less obtrusive, and built to stay out of the way. So in the end, it really comes down to your style of shooting. Hybrid flexibility favors the holster, while dedicated POV use favors the clip.